Welcome to another episode of Say More and Raymore. I'm your host, Communications Director, Melissa Harmer, and today we are talking with Raymore Emergency Management Director, Tim Baldwin. Tim, we have had kind of a stretch of rough weather over the last several weeks in Raymore, so just kind of talk us through what's happened, how you respond, and what residents can do to stay informed.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. I just saw a news story this morning that maybe folks saw that this was the busiest or most active severe weather season on record so far, and by a long shot in terms of how many severe watches and warnings have been issued for the Kansas City area. So it's been a crazy spring so far, not over yet.
Not really the kind of historic we like.
Yeah,
but kind of
not
historic.
good history, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. I can give folks kind of a quick recap of the last 2-week period here that we just got through. So we had 4 tornado warnings here in Raymore that prompted the siren activation. On Monday, April 13th, we sounded the sirens for a tornado warning at about 8:40 in the evening. The big storm that impacted Belton primarily was later that week on Friday, April 17th. We sounded the sirens here at about 5:13 in the evening. A little over a week later, on Sunday, April 26th, there was a warning here in Raymore at about 5:01 p.m. The sirens went off. And then the next morning, on Monday, April 27th, early in the morning at about 5:40 a.m., we sounded the sirens again. So 4 siren activations in about 15 days. And then in the midst of all those tornado warnings, there was heavy rain, there were heavy winds, strong winds, hail, tree limbs down, lots of severe weather, lots of stuff going on that we had to navigate. So we should be through that 2-week period. We get a little bit of a break. I've been watching the weather for at least a handful of days now, which is a welcome relief, but definitely a busy start to the spring.
For sure. I'm looking forward to the break.
Me
yes,
too. Yeah.
Yes. Like, again, I mean, I don't know that I've heard tornado sirens go off that often ever.
Yeah. I was
yeah.
just thinking, I've been here for about 4 years now, and it took 3 years before I sounded the sirens the first time, and I've done it 4 times now in 2 weeks. So weather's crazy and unpredictable.
That is crazy. Important note about sirens, however, they are designed to be heard for people outdoors, to warn them that there is imminent danger and to get to a safe place. However, many people can hear them indoors from their home, in their homes. But what can we do? I know that you and I both preach on social media all the time. Weather radio. So what should residents be doing to make sure that they always have the latest information, that they're always able to be informed of changing weather?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, if you can hear the sirens inside your house, great. I live about 2 blocks away from one. I can definitely hear it inside when it's sounding, but of course you don't want to rely on that, even if you can hear it inside your house. We say all the time you want to have multiple ways of getting weather information. What exactly does that mean? What are some of these ways to get weather information? There's a lot of tools that you can put in your toolbox. So there's a NOAA weather radio. We would suggest that everybody in town get a NOAA weather radio. Last I checked, they're about $40 or $50, so it is a little bit of an investment, but well worth the price you pay for it. They make great gifts as well. You can sign up for Everbridge. That is the Cass County Emergency Notification System. If you just Google Cass County Everbridge, that should be the first link that pops up. You can get text messages on your phone when there is severe weather in the area. Facebook is another great avenue. You can follow the Raymore Emergency Management Facebook page. There's a Cass County Emergency Management Facebook page. Those try to get updated with severe weather information the best that we can. YouTube is another great resource. A lot of news stations like KMBC, KCTV, they will broadcast live weather streams during severe weather. So pull up YouTube on your computer, your phone, your iPad, and just go to some of those news stations, and you'll be able to follow the same weather broadcast that I'm watching.
Right, and they do have
time.
apps. So a lot of the local news channels have apps as well, and you can stream live there.
Yeah.
Some of them you have to sign. On that Friday night when I was trying to watch, when I was sheltering in place at Centerview, I popped on one station's live feed, but I'd already watched it for too many minutes. And so I was
yeah.
like, oh my gosh. But thankfully I had a different station's weather app,
exactly.
so I could watch that without having to register because there wasn't a TV on available. But yeah, I was on my phone watching the live so that, as they were tracking where everything was headed.
That's a great resource. TV and radio, I know that's not as common anymore, just good old TV and radio, but if you have that at your disposal, that's great. There's lots of great weather apps that will give you real-time alerts. And just follow the local news and the local weather. If you kind of know what's coming in the coming days weather-wise, you're in good shape. Talk to your friends and family, neighbors. I talked to some of our friends a few days before that Friday event. So just talk to the people in your community that you know and care about. Just talk about kind of what your plan is for the weather that's coming. So lots of tools that you can put in your toolbox. And another reason that's important is that mistakes will be made, either human mistakes or technology issues will happen. And that's never ideal, but it happens. And so the more tools you could have to get information, the better off you'll be.
Sure. You can't rely on one thing. I do rely on my weather radio, though. I slapped that thing off so many times up in the early morning hours, Monday morning, when it was just thunderstorm. But as soon as it hit tornado, I was like, all right, I'm up.
I know it's loud. I know it can be kind of annoying, but it
could save your life.
Exactly.
And it's nice that we're getting more time. That just the technology has changed so much in the last, I would say, since the Twister, the last 10 or 20 years, we're getting warnings further in the future of the possibility, everything's in place for a tornado. So that's really nice, so that we do have a little extra time to get to our safe places. So when something like that happens, when there's a tornado warning, what are you doing during that event?
Yeah. So during a severe weather event, there's kind of a before, during, and after in terms of kind of what I'm doing in my role here. So the before, of course, I'm watching the weather. I'm in communication with the National Weather Service in terms of what's coming, how much rain or snow during the wintertime, the timing, what the hazards are. I'm relaying that information to our city leadership. I'm talking with police and public works here in town. I'm putting that information out on Facebook, not only the day of the event, but I try to post several days in advance of a big weather event in terms of what's coming, and try to get that information out to our residents. During the event, I'm of course watching the weather. There is a National Weather Service. It's basically a chat room that emergency managers and local meteorologists have access to, that the National Weather Service is sharing information on. So I've always got one eye on that chat room. That'll let me know when the Weather Service issues a warning or is about to issue a warning. We get a little bit of a minute or two advance notification that a warning might be coming. So I've got one eye on that chat room. I'm usually watching the Evergy outage map to see if we have any big power outages here in town. If there's small outages here and there, that's not as concerning as maybe a widespread power outage that knocks out power for a big chunk of the city. That's when we would step in and act on that. So I'm watching Evergy as well, texting our city leadership, posting on Facebook if I'm able to. If we get a tornado warning, obviously I will try to post that on Facebook ideally, but again, during that time I'm watching other things.
And you're also, you also giving the direction to our dispatch center to do the tornado sirens?
Exactly.
Yes.
If a warning comes across that chat room there, I'm on the phone or on the radio with dispatch telling them to sound the sirens, and I will be in communication with them as far as are we sounding them numerous times, when do we stop sounding them, that kind of thing. So I'm in communication with them as far as kind of watching the timing of the warning there. I'm on the phone with the Cass County emergency management director, who I have a good relationship with. He's always checking in to see if there's any issues here in town during severe weather. And then kind of after the event, in the hours and days after the event, I'm meeting with city staff here and kind of going over the event and debriefing that. If there's damage assessments that need to be done or reports made, I'm working on those, working again with the National Weather Service to kind of get a breakdown of exactly how much rainfall or snowfall, again, in the wintertime we got, that kind of thing. And then we're kind of moving on to the next weather event. So it's usually a cycle.
And you've been very busy lately.
Last couple of weeks, yeah. There's been some staying up till 2 a.m., getting up at 2 a.m., but it's all good. It's my job, and I love it.
Yes. Well, that's great. And we're fortunate that you're here to do those things for us.
Thank you.
So we've had a lot of rain throughout this month, and especially over the last couple days. Can you talk about that and the flooding?
Between that Sunday night, the 26th, and Monday morning, the 27th, we got roughly 3 inches of rain. I'm waiting for the official totals from the National Weather Service, but it was several inches. And that can lead to the flooding of roads. And we did have a few of those incidents here in Raymore following that event. And flooding is a major hazard. It might not be as exciting or visually, spectacular as like a tornado or a hurricane or something like that. But in Missouri, flooding is actually the deadliest weather hazard, and it's not one that people necessarily think about. So we like to remind people that, especially if you're driving, that only a foot of water in the roadways can sweep away a car. 6 inches can sweep away a person walking or standing. So if you're coming up on water following a heavy rainfall, you don't know how deep it is, just turn around, don't mess around with it. I know we might like to think that, our big pickup trucks can easily get through this water. Not a test you want to take. If there's an area that you come across that is flooded, just get away, report it, and keep yourself safe.
And we have seen a few news reports of water rescues in the general Kansas City area over the last few days as well, from people who did get stuck in those.
Exactly. It's scary, not something you want to mess around with. Again, it's not as visually amazing as a destructive tornado or something, but it's definitely just as dangerous.
Right. Well, how can people get in touch with you? I know you have resources on your webpage. What do you want to leave us with? What information do you want to share with us in closing?
Yeah, I think what the last couple of weeks have taught us is just the importance of having a tornado safety plan, not only for your home, but for schools, churches, businesses. Know what to do during a tornado. And again, I'll remind folks, at your home, you want to head to, ideally, your basement below ground. If you don't have a basement, you want to get to the lowest level interior room with no windows. Essentially, the idea is you want to put as many walls between yourself and the outside as possible. So that could be a downstairs bathroom. If there's a closet big enough for your family, get in there, underneath some stairs, underneath a sturdy piece of furniture, cover yourself with a mattress. Even if you have a bicycle helmet handy, as silly as it might seem to put that on, put it on. Cover your head, protect your neck, and make sure you have some kind of a tornado plan in place for you and your family.
That is really important advice. That and making sure you have more than one way to receive warnings. Exactly. And just keep an eye on the upcoming weather. Usually these things are predicted a day or so out that, hey, this might be a possibility. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on the weather as well.
Exactly. If anybody ever has any questions or wants some more information or resources, you can always reach out to my office. My number is 816-892-3032. My email address is tbaldwin, for Tim Baldwin, @raymore.com. Again, there's the Raymore Emergency Management Facebook page as well. So I'm always happy to chat with any of our residents, share with them any resources that they might be looking for.
Great. Thank you very much for chatting with us today, Tim. Important information. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa.
And I'm adding a new segment to close out every episode, so everybody stop. It's Harmer time. I'm just going to share a little bit more about our guest and what's coming up and anything relevant to that topic. So thanks again to Tim for chatting with us about his response to our recent bout of very, very active, severe spring weather. If you would like to learn more about disaster preparedness, we do have a Raymore Community Emergency Response Team. That's the CERT team. And that program educates volunteers about disaster preparedness. It trains volunteers for assistance during disasters, such as like light search and rescue, medical aid, maybe traffic directing, things like that. So if you want to be a part of that, please come to a meeting or any meeting. They're held about every other month. Our next CERT meeting is Thursday, June 4th at 6:30 p.m. at Centerview, our event space at 227 Municipal Circle. At this meeting, former FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate will join us virtually. He served for 8 years under President Obama and will talk about his experiences and the crises he oversaw, including the Joplin tornado in 2011. And then a little bit later in the summer, we have a Kids and Families Emergency Preparedness Night. That's Thursday, August 13th at 6 p.m. at Centerview. We'll have staff from the city and the American Red Cross, and kids can learn how to build an emergency supply kit, what to do in severe weather, and how to stay calm during a disaster. And then we'll share other safety tips and have some giveaways. So if you want to learn more about any of these events, find more information on our website at raymore.com. And you can put it on your calendar, and we hope to see you there. And that's all for today. We'll see you next month.